If you had asked me last year what was the first game I would play all the way through once I got a PS4, I probably would have gone with Persona 5 or Trails of Cold Steel 3. If you had told me it was one of the 3 games that came with the console, I would easily put Horizon Zero Dawn or God of War before the actual answer, which I'm sure you figured out is The Last of Us. Not my usual fare, but in a time when I was really having trouble diving into any of the games I had, The Last of Us gripped me as no other game could. I'm glad I played it, and here's why you should as well, even if games like it are not your usual fare. The Last of Us is a survival adventure horror game developed by Naughty Dog, famous for the Uncharted series, and published by Sony. The original game came out for the PS3 in June of 2013 and then came to the PS4 as The Last of Us Remastered in July of 2014 with improved visuals and including the story DLC Left Behind. To say the game was a critical success would be an understatement. The box which holds the disc for the game proudly proclaims the game has won over 200 Game of the Year awards, and frankly that's not surprising. Also unsurprising is its amazing sales figures. The last estimate in 2018 put it at around 17 million copies sold. What drew everyone to this game though? Because while horror has definitely had a revival as of late, critical and commercial juggernauts of this style rarely come in any genre. You play as Joel, who starts out the game as a single father of a teenage daughter named Sarah living in Texas. Then, the zombie apocalypse happens. Through all of the panic, Joel, along with his brother Tommy, manage to escape the zombies, and Sarah does too. She just doesn't escape the bullet shot by a soldier at Joel. 20 years later, Joel now lives in Boston, and by a turn of events gets stuck with a task set to him by the militaristic resistance group, the Fireflies. His job is to escort a teenage girl named Ellie, who may be humanity's best chance to find a cure for the fungal infection that is causing the zombies, known in-game as the Infected, to one of the Fireflies' hideouts. It is quite the journey that takes them across the country, encountering different people and many challenges in their way, and oh boy, is it well written and realistic. Joel and Ellie are amazing characters that develop beautifully over the course of the story. Joel is gruff and cynical over years of trauma and loss, while also maintaining vestiges of the caring man he once was, along with the nostalgia a lot of the older generation feels towards the pre-infection time. Ellie is a kid forced to grow up fast and has the mixture of childishness and world weariness of this combination. She has plenty of sass, competency, and emotional maturity to make her a good match for Joel. Their banter is enjoyable and a good break from the tension-filled atmosphere and gameplay you'll encounter while playing. It's definitely not all light and breezy on the story front, but you will absolutely come to care for and understand these characters and their struggles by the end of the game. That connection only grows as you navigate highly dangerous situations with these characters, and more likely than not, die quite a few times during gameplay. Unless you are far more skilled than me, which is probable. You'll be wandering the ruins or vastly changed landscape of the United States, from the starting area of Boston to the wilderness of the Rocky Mountain region, exploring villages, woods, or cities. During the exploration part, Joel and Ellie need to team up to navigate their way around obstacles using their own talents and skills. Sometimes this involves some basic puzzle solving, although puzzle may be a strong word for it since this part of the game can sometimes be summarized as find object, move object, profit. While it's not the most engaging part of gameplay, these down moments between the tense action of combat or stealth is an important part of making sure the game doesn't immediately crush your spirit. There's always time for that later. Plus, the exploration gives Ellie and Joel a nice chance to banter, which is nice. Once you've found the ladder or wooden plank to support Ellie since she can't swim, or whatever means you use to navigate past the obstacle, you can move on to the next area, which hopefully won't be swarming with, frick. Here come the enemies. For combat most of the time, you notice enemies before they notice you, which means you get the chance to sneak past them, or stealthily eliminate them. Of course, you might be more suited to my approach. Try stealth, fail, and resort to all-out force to make your way through. It's generally not a great approach, because the enemies in The Last of Us are tough, and always ready to kill you at a moment's notice. Somehow I got by though. Of course, since this is a zombie survival game, you will be fighting the zombies, hereafter referred to as the infected. There are 4 types of infected that you will face. The first are the runners, the initial phase of infection, who are more passive than other infected, but if startled will immediately become aggressive and swarm very fast, hence the runner's name. They are the easiest to kill though. Any weapon, including your own fists, are effective, so hold on to the big guns for the next stages. The second are the Stalkers. At this point there is a growth obscuring some of the face, specifically the eyes, so they can't see as well as runners. They also are stronger, but can still be taken down by taking them one-on-one with a weapon. They are called Stalkers for their tendency to hide and stalk around objects searching for prey. Stalkers are very rare though, showing up only in the DLC. So let's move on to my personal least favorite, the Clickers. At this stage, eyesight is completely gone from the infected, so they search for prey using a type of echolocation that's very good at detecting movement. The name coming, of course, from the sound they make while doing their echolocation. Clickers are incredibly tough. The only way to kill them is through a stealth shiv to one of the few vulnerable areas, a strong melee attack meaning you need a weapon, or numerous gunshots. The last option being inadvisable given how unstealthy it is. Plus, if they get to you, you're done for since it's pretty much a one-hit kill. That leads to the final infected you have to worry about, the bloaters. They appear as bloated masses, with that bloating giving them heavy protection against you. Stealth shivs won't work on bloaters, nor will melee weapons, and even the most powerful guns take many shots to bring them down. They also have the ability to shoot out infected parts of themselves as pretty much bombs that explode out and create a cloud that you want to be nowhere near. These suckers are tough, so you've either got to be stocked up with ammo or have some sort of fire-making device on you, since fire is extremely effective against all stages of the infected. Now, I wish the infected were all you had to deal with, but human enemies are just as frequent and of course offer different challenges. Human enemies are generally armed similarly to Joel, with some melee and some guns, but since they come in swarms, this is not the time for mano-a-mano combat. It's time again to try being stealthy, at least until you've taken 2 enemies down that way, you're feeling pretty good, and BAM! Enemy behind you that sounds the alarm. At least if you're as bad at stealth as I am. Seriously, I only started using the bow to help do stealth kills more than halfway through the game. Not my brightest moment. Still, it's nice to face enemies that don't one-hit kill you if they grab you. Human enemies tend to be more active and reactive, searching for you in various locations and getting cautious if the tables start turning against them. Plans are therefore more necessary and also more delicate. I think I went through more tries against human enemies than against the infected. In combat at any point in the game though, Ellie can actually help out, usually via pointing out enemies you may have missed or contributing with her trusty knife if things get more heated. It's nice sometimes to have an escort mission where the escortee is helpful. As you may have guessed, Joel and Ellie face down a lot of enemies, so it is necessary to be well stocked for supplies at all times. That means you gotta keep your eyes open for any supplies you can get. Ammo for guns, melee weapons, pills for upgrades to Joel, tools and parts for gun upgrades, and then all the crafting materials you need. Crafting being used to make life-saving things like shivs, health kits, and of course, Molotov cocktails. Nothing feels better than finding that supply you've been desperately searching for in the level. The combat gameplay is nerve-wracking and requires thought into what you want to do, at least it does if you want to make things easier on yourself. It really fits my expectations of how intense it would be trying to get through areas infested with enemies, and it was thrilling once I successfully accomplished my goal of eliminating my foes. Naughty Dog really took a lot of care into making every element of the game feed into the tone of the game and its world. Combat and exploration is a big part of that, but perhaps the biggest part is the environment. The locations are vibrantly realized and they feel like desperate communities of survivors, or dank decaying infrastructure, or whatever other location is needed to show how society has been forced to adapt since the infection began. The art is very nice, with special attention given to character and enemy models. Even though it's been some time since I looked at them, I can still picture exactly how Joel and Ellie look in my head, and also the infected, but I prefer not to think of them. In addition to looking great, Joel and Ellie especially sound great, as Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson did a fantastic job voicing them for this game. The background music also sounds good and is appropriately atmospheric. It's never overpowering, even the main theme is fairly subdued, which fits well with a world that has had to scale back from what it was prior to the catastrophe of the infection. Lastly, in the environmental section, is the sounds. Since Joel has basically listening superpowers, you'd think the game would go out of its way to make everything sound great. Which it does. The environmental sound is superb. Every movement, every action, every location has a plethora of ambient sound to add to the experience. Although it is also sometimes gross, because again, we're dealing with an infection here, with decay being a big part of it. I can still admire it though, since again, it adds another piece into making this world feel real for the players. Simply put, The Last of Us is a fantastic game. If you're a fan of the genre, you've almost certainly heard endless praise for the game, and you've probably also played it. If you haven't, while being a fan and having the requisite console, I don't know what you're waiting for. For those of you who are not as into the idea of a zombie horror adventure survival game, trust me, this game is amazing, and you will get a fun experience out of it. I am not a fan of this genre, but I am a fan of well-written, story-driven games with good gameplay and a fascinating world to dive into. That's why I really enjoyed this game, and why I recommend it to those who haven't given it a chance yet. I just recommend playing in the daytime if you don't have a fearsome guard kitty like I do to protect you at night. I hope this video has been informative and enjoyable. Leave a like if you had a good time, comment below any thoughts, subscribe for more video game content, and I hope to see you next time. Have a great day, and happy gaming.